Welcome to another episode of the Bandwagon Podcast, and today is a jump off episode. So, what that means is this is my opportunity where I kind of look over the past couple of months, but in this case over the year because it's the end of year special and a Christmas special. I kind of give some of my thoughts and opinions on some of the bandwagons that are happening or some of the topical things going on. I was going to be doing this with Hijab, so that Hijab Bangle, who's the kind of my Christmas tradition partner in crime, but he hasn't been well recently. So just making sure, sending out positive and well wishes to him on his health, and I will get him on really shortly. Anyway, it's about that time where he always brings a good vibe in as well. So yeah, so again, this is just the opportunity for me to kind of do my own little rants and raves as well. And it's quite a bigger list since the last time I did one of these episodes. Um, and we've had a World Cup in between there. So that all started with this whole, you know, di- regardless of where you kind of sit, kind of politically or whatever, I think you always got to be a little bit careful of what you've said. And I think a few people now, and especially some of the celebrities, are getting their hypocrisy kind of pointed out. We've all been hypocrites. Everyone has done everything, has said one thing and done the complete opposite. And what I find pretty funny to start off is where people were tweeting all their opinion, and I was like, if you think about it, what are they tweeting off? They're tweeting off an iPhone. Where do you think that gets made? It ain't in some super duper lab. Some of those materials that are involved in putting these together are really rare kind of materials. So I'm sure in some of those countries, some of the practices ain't been great. So just the irony of how people behave. Yes, you could talk about it at the same time on a platform if you've got all these things, if you've got a bit of a following or you believe in it that much. But just be careful of kind of the preachiness. That's the bit where a lot of people are starting to switch off recently, and I think like people like um Trump, especially, he was one of these guys of saying, "I know how your system works, and I'm going to expose it." And I think people are starting to get used to these social justice warriors or these people who think they're amazing influencers or whatever. And a lot of people ain't having it, including me, to be honest. And also, if you look at some of these influencers who are talking about certain things, before you say anything around the matter, I'm sure if you go through your Instagram history, you've been to Dubai at least. So, easy on that. Um, what else was happening? One of the things that did come out, especially with the World Cup, was the traditional kind of World Cup widow. When the games were going on, you were just watching you as a bloke, especially. So I'm just generalizing at this bit. Um, they were nowhere to be seen. So all those jobs that had been put off for about a month are starting to kick in. So if you've been one of those husbands who've got away with murder, I think now's the time where you're going to be, paying for it. All those little jobs, sorting out the garage, kitchen, loft, all of those things. It's going to come back with interest now, especially when it comes over to Christmas, because you're either going to have people coming round or you're going to be going to other people. So you're going to make sure everything is looking on point. But the other thing that came out of it was it did, even though the World Cup in itself was in winter, it did have a bit more of a family feel. So it was the first one where my kids got involved, for example. And my son, he picked out Argentina to start before the actual tournament itself. So he had a special interest in it. It was ironic because the first World Cup my dad kind of pointed out to me was the 1990 World Cup, which I remember. So I was about 8 then. Roughly the same age, near enough the same age as with my son now. And he was pointing at to me saying, "Watch out for this guy," and it was Maradona. And they got to the final and lost. So it was like history repeating itself. Got to the final, they're winning, they're drawing, and then you just had all the drama. I mean, what a final it was! It was just brilliant, and so I think it ended quite positively now. And you're not hearing too many people of those people who jumping on different bandwagons to start off with. They've gone a little bit quiet now. So let's just see. I think they'll probably move on to kind of the next topic. I mean, also we had a real big sort of cold snap, and it was the first time that people started worrying about energy bills and coming into full effect where you're visibly seeing it. So people double checking whether to put the heating on, which is just so sad. There's so much money flying around, and especially when COVID was kicking off, all of a sudden, there was no money, and just like that, oh, eat out and take out, have free meals, do all of this. The amount of people who done fraud on that was ridiculous. And now you've got people going through this Christmas and this winter really struggling to heat their homes, and it's just a very sad state of affairs that where we've got to. Um, and even if you think about it, it doesn't really feel this kind of festive. I kind of gauge it by Christmas decorations. And I'm going past some people's houses, and the decorations are just like, I can't be asked. You can just see they've started a window, the lights are nice, and then it just drops off. Like they forgot the garage, they forgot everything else. Or you could the cuts are affecting the decorations. Um, Even if you go to like some of the local shops, they're just absolute gone everywhere. You can see it's just all last year's stock. Like no one's even bothered creating a new stock line, a new designs for this year. And it's probably the first Christmas ever I didn't even buy batteries. Normally, when you get all your saman down from the loft and you put it all together, you have to do the kind of the battery check. Oh, all the light. This year I didn't care. I whatever was gonna work was work. If it ain't, unlucky. I didn't even. I've got spare batteries. I just couldn't be bothered to exert that energy. So I'm practicing what I'm preaching. So that's how you do social justice warrior kind of preachiness. Um, yeah, and the energy bills. We did a comparison of what we spent last year to this year, and I nearly fell off my chair. So like now consciously going around just turning every switch off where possible, and it's still bad. It is still bad, and it's really fearful in 2023 what's going to come our way, and we've got to be, you got to be careful. Another person who needed to be careful, or whatever your opinion was, like Kanye. Yeah, man, Kanye. I think Kanye reminded me of the guy when he was started all of his rants. Like like you have a drunk relative at a wedding where they go to the DJ, and then everyone knows that this guy's gonna sing the song, and you're trying to go to the DJ, like cut the mic, don't let him sing, otherwise everyone's gonna go home before the roti. And then once they do, it's just an avalanche of songs and disaster. And unfortunately, with Kanye, I think we're seeing a kind of a mental health episode in public, and it's just snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. The lesson, when you think about it, is that you're only a few words put in a few words in the wrong order can cancel you. And the way how people can just get vanished on social media or whatever kind of platforms that they're on is ridiculous. I mean, the things that he was saying, and it's just the actual mechanism, and it makes you really fearful for the kids now. They're looking like the next generation, where some of the parents have actually put their kids and create their social media profiles, and they've attached them to campaigns, or they've done adverts, or dressed them up, or done anything, right? Have they had permission of the kid when they to do that? When does the children's rights on social media sort of kick in? They could turn up and be 18 or 21 and say, "Mom, Dad, why did you do that to me for? I didn't want to do that." And now every time I go to school, they take the piss out of me. So it just really makes you think. I'm really fearful of how moving forward, social media, how you and express an opinion can really make a difference. And it makes you think twice as well. I don't like social media. I do post on it because I kind of have to in this way, but I really some platforms are really starting to, like, I'm trying to nearly switch off. But the worst thing is I've started to become a bit of a TikTok addict. I just watch the content again. It is very hypnotic. Whatever algorithm that they're doing is hypnotic, and the trends on there are like are funny. And the latest one of that was these avatars, the AI avatars. I mean, okay, they make you look great with certain filters, but deep down, if you look like a horse's ass, there's no filter or AI technology that's going to make you look good. It's as simple as that. I mean, some of them use they thought they were actual models. Where in so at nighttime, they're posting, look at all this, look how great I look. But then the only thing they should be modeling is balaclavas. Nothing more to say than that. And I think it's starting to kind of drip off as well. I'm gonna get a little bit more kind of serious on this. I'm gonna get a little bit more serious on the next part. I say we, a few of our lads, my kind of circle, went away for a lads trip to over the last few years with COVID. A few of the lads actually turned 40, so we didn't really. Normally we would get together, have a few birthday drinks, mixed grills, whatnot, go out. But this year, quite quickly, we arranged kind of a weekend away in Barcelona, couple of days, and I mentioned around mixed grills and how we would get together for a bit of a drink, and that turned into a bit of a norm when you're in this country. So lads would phone each other, meet you at this time, mixed grill, have a few glasses, go clubbing or whatever, come back home, and then have a couple of days of session depression, and then maybe in a week or a few weeks later do the same again. But this trip was a little bit different, where we were able to kind of spend a lot of time with each other during the day and catch up about families and see how people are getting on. And it was ironic. One of the lads in the group kind of articulated it the best, and I've been saying it repeatedly. Where he was like, a few of the lads in our group, we like there was 25 people who went, were saying that over the last couple of years, some of they've actually struggled with mental health and things. And I'm always a bit skeptical when mental health, these labels get mentioned all the time, because some people do manipulate them and use them for their own advantage, unfortunately. But this guy, how he was saying it, wasn't. He's not one of those kind of people to say that, and it really made me think that as a crew, as a circle of friends, that how we're maturing and adapting and able to have those conversations. And it was really, really an eye opener to have that companionship, really being surrounded by a bunch of other guys, and not having massive open discussions, but just opinions on each other. You know what I mean? Like how um what people value, what have they learnt. And before, if we kind of had those conversations 10 years earlier, we'd be ripping the piss out of each other. And but it was really 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 eye-opening. And one of the lads turned around and say that how they've started to do a new business, and the competition that's around them is getting a little bit more aggressive. And one of the other lads just piped up and said, like, he said he's never met a hater um doing better than himself. And that made me think, yeah, that how people kind of exert their energy on negative aspects on life. I've done it before, where where you see somebody and you're just like, oh yeah, fuck, just it's just the easy thing to do is to kind of hate on them. But then what you kind of learn is about how they're trying, or they're trying to turn things around. Nobody's going to have everything perfect. They're always going to have certain things that they people need to work on and dwell on and do in life. Um, but that kind of quote really stuck into me, like really stuck with me, really, that with that conversations. And then I don't know whether kind of your phone records you all the time. All of a sudden, my timeline was just full of motivational quotes and stay positive and do. And I was looking at some of these people, and some of them I know privately. I was like, what are you talking about? You're selling somebody else a scam? People are scamming each other by saying there's this a lot. Go to this life coach, spend money on this product, and it'll help improve your life. All the what I would say is be very careful where you get your motivation from. Sometimes if it could be an off comment and it does that, and it spurns a new way of thinking or behavior, that's great. But if you start believing sometimes in the individual behind it, that is danger. We know what fake Bob Bear did is, and all these kind of people can do, and how they manipulate and basically just extract money out of anything. I mean, some of them would even, sell their own mothers and actually do post their mothers saying, "Look, I changed their life around." Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, you did it, Hannah. Yeah, good one, nice one. Um, yeah, so I was that was one of the key things. But there's a difference between kind of understanding and supporting. So I just wanted to kind of take this opportunity really to kind of thank everyone who's actually supported the podcast. So over the last year, it's grown into kind of some weird places, man, and given me kind of opportunities to network with people or speak to people. And I really appreciate that. And I think not going into the kind of next year, there's a little bit of a difference in what I want to try and do. Trying to do some more kind of in-house kind of filmed with guests and within there. But I do this out of my own hobby, my own passion. There's nobody who's sitting there giving me a magic money tree and doing all this, doing it. Or I'm just doing it. I don't pretend to be anything. I don't want to be anything. It's just my own hobby. And fortunately, there's a lot of people who like it and get bits out of it. And when I get some of those comments back, um, it really kind of it does it really makes you it does make you feel good. And I also pass it on to the guests. So sometimes I randomly take a screenshot or somebody's provided feedback and I send it to them randomly in a day or something, and they appreciate it. But yeah, I really want to say thank you for people who are supporting it, and especially if you've come up to me and said, "I listened to you," that as well. It's a really weird feeling when somebody said that, and especially if you don't know. But I really appreciate it if you have been one of those. It just makes you think if you're a celeb and all these how they do this stuff all constantly is ridiculous. I am hang on, I'm nowhere near that, and I don't want to be like that. But it was funny because somebody did come up to in the airport when I was with all the lads and said, "Oh, I listened to it." And one of the lads just turned around and said, "Yeah, it's shit though, isn't it? The podcast is really shit though, isn't it?" Which is you always need people to just ground you around you, and it was funny. It really cracked. The timing was brilliant. But yeah, and there's a lot more people doing podcasts as well. So supporting those the movement of people taking a risk and a challenge or putting themselves in front of camera, having an opinion. There's a lot of people out there um who are got a lot to say and haven't got a platform to do it. So just make your own, just do it. You never know where it goes, especially if you want to kind of build a career in that way. Then yeah, then go for it. It's the best thing to do, because if no one else is going to hear you, at least you can hear yourself. And especially with a background like this, you can it gets you places. Yeah, so kind of like plans for next year. I said a little bit from there, but just kind of continuing a pace and revisiting some of the old first guests or older guests that I've had as well, in terms of catch ups on different products and things that they're doing. So if I have reached out to you, and I forgot, then please do. I while I was away, I did have one evening where I was messaged a few people, and I forgot to write down who I messaged. So the last person who I did message actually got back in contact, said, "Rick, when you recording me?" And I was like, "I knew it was you." So that episode's coming out there, but there won't be a lot of begging next year. It'll be, if it is, it is. Is that you get a lot of people who lead you on. So yeah. I'm coming, I'm coming. And then they kind of they can misuse your good nature. So there'll be quite a lot less of that happening in next year. I will take my time if I'm going to do it. So whether I slow down the frequency of stuff, that might be the way forward. Yeah. So in generally, especially over Christmas and thinking of people's mindsets, uh, you do see a lot of this kind of warm, all these films that you see, family, friends, and all these things around you, and for some people, they just want to get through it rather than live the next 11 months. So I think being appreciative that not everybody's laughing and joking. It can be quite an emotional time. Religiously, it could be emotional time because of people who they've lost as well at this time. Is to be just conscious of that as well. So yeah, I actually all the things that I did say, I've turned into preachy myself. So I don't think that I could do a jump off without becoming preachy. So see, that's an example of your own hypocrisy. But I just want to finish off on a kind of a remembrance note where there's been a lot of influential people this year who have passed away, especially in this kind of entertainment field as well. And sometimes you can see their legacy and their build up of all the work that they've done. But sometimes and life can pull people a lot earlier than they should do. And just only recently, there was a member of Beats by Lion, Vinay, who sadly passed away. And he definitely had his whole life ahead of you. So if there's something to take away from it, is 2023, this time, Chris, or wherever it should be every day. Really, could be your last. So try and stay positive. Build those people around you and help them up where you can, because you don't know what kind of support that you're giving somebody on whenever they need it. But yeah, so this episode is dedicated to him. So Vinay, man, till the next time, bro. All the best, everyone. Catch you next year and appreciate it. Thanks.